So, Mr. Bond, I see once again you've made a second movie in your new line of James Bond movies. Quantum of Solace, hey? Well, this movie is basically more of the same, YouTube. And I'm not sure if you should consider that a good thing or a bad thing. Me, myself, I. Here comes the blasphemy, I know. I've never liked James Bond. Never got him. Never liked the fake technologies. Never liked I never liked anything about James Bond, to be frank, and these new movies. All right, Homer, you can run. These new movies are a good change of pace, I think, and that there's a lot of humanity to them. And it's not that I think they're a good movie in the sense that they're good James Bond movies. I think they're a good movie in the sense that they're a good action movie. And you know, they are a little bit by the numbers, and it's like, okay, a couple writers sitting around, how can we get him into a boat chase? How can we get him into this? How can we get him into that? And that's what the movie is kind of progressing to be like, and that's okay, because like I think that the Matrix has really ruined a lot of action scenes, but well, I shouldn't say the Matrix. The Matrix coupled with Michael Bay. But the Matrix changed how fight scenes happen, and that all fight scenes are now, and that's how all combat in movies go and action scenes. It's ridiculous, and it's old and it's tired. And the first Matrix, I'm not knocking it. The first Matrix was a very good movie, but then like the second and third one, it was like they gave up on trying to edit properly, and they just record random instances of people striking each other really fast and stuff, and put it together however they want. And Michael Bay's the worst at that. I mean, look at Transformers. Like, that movie was horrible. I'm sorry to tell you, but like that was a really bad action movie, and like that all the combat made no sense. That there was like a transformer picking up something and it was firing from the other way, and it was just a lot of flashing on the screen that didn't really connect from scene to scene. Where, that Quantum of Solace, at least like even though it's a little bit campy and that it just kind of writes itself into these situations, that it at least handles the combat and the action sequences well and nicely, and there is a progression, and it's got a grittiness to it that's really nice too. And like I said, I don't like James Bond movies, and like he is a symbol of like a masculinity, though. Just like I was talking about earlier in Superman analysis of mine, that he is one of those big pillars of masculinity and the symbol of what a man's supposed to be, and that he's supposed to be classy and debonair and suave and all that stuff. And but I never got it. I never liked the gadgetry and all that stuff, but this movie doesn't have really thick on gadgetry, and I thought that was really cool. And the stuff that they do have is actually based off of real technologies, so it kind of brings it back down to a reasonable level, and I like that. And the story isn't anything to write home about. It really isn't. It's a high end mediocre film, and it's like I don't like to give numbers out so early, but I probably give it about a 6.5 to a 7, probably about a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. And it's worth watching compared to a lot of stuff that's out there, especially if you want a good action movie, and that it does the job. And it's coming on DVD by this point, so I mean this is really laid out to the races, and I don't know why I'm just now posting this, but yeah, it's something to spend time doing. It's not something that you're gonna leave and go think to yourself, man, not only do I want my money back for that movie, but I want my time back, and you won't get that feeling, at least, to say the least. So I mean, it's a good change of pace, and I think that it's definitely something different, and that James Bond is now portrayed as somebody who's mortal, and that he's not perfect, and he doesn't do everything perfect, and that like there's a great scene in this movie where he takes off his shirt, and the dude's like covered in scars. He's got like some knife wounds on his chest, and like gunshot wounds, and like all that stuff, and like that's really cool about the movie, is that they acknowledge that this is a man who does stuff, and like that there's consequences for his actions too, is another thing that's in this movie that weren't in the other movies before, and that's that he ends up sleeping with, can't ruin that and still call us a review, so I can't give that spoiler away. But let's just say that there's always consequences for the things that he does, and that even being the womanizer or whatever, that there's a consequence for being a womanizer and sleeping around, and that there's like a consequences for killing people and things like that, and that like that he has a problem that he is constantly killing people too. It's like it's really kind of cool though in a lot of ways, and I think it's worth watching, and there's really not much else I can say about it. And it's probably one of the better James Bond movies out there. I wasn't sure about like the new actor to pick up the torch, and I shouldn't really speak though because I'm not a James Bond fan, so it doesn't really matter to me. But I think he does a good job, and a lot of people don't realize this, but when you sign up a contract to be James Bond, that actor's contract states that for the rest of their lives that they're not allowed to be in a tuxedo in any movie that's not a James Bond movie. So it's a good trade-off. It's kind of a big deal to become James Bond, and I think that they made a good decision, and I think that both the actor and the studio made a good decision with what they did. And I gotta say, if things keep up like this, I could definitely see myself seeing a third movie. I don't think it did too killer in sales, so it might be a while, but nonetheless, it's pretty good. And they do keep to a lot of the conventions, even though they push them a lot. That they never show a nipple or whatever, and that's kind of a big deal with James Bond movies. And they always keep it a PG-13 rating. But on this one, they really, 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 really push the envelope about how much they showed and stuff. But it's still cool, man. It's still James Bond in the sense, but then at the same sense, it's a competent action film. So if you want to see a good, competent action film that's got proper editing, this is probably something to see. And thanks for watching. Please leave your comments. And I'm sorry that I don't really have much more to say about it, but that's really all there is, I think, to say about the movie. So thanks again, and please watch my other videos.